Hello, good morning, afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my channel. So, she left. Maybe she said you weren't enough. Maybe she said you changed. Or maybe she just walked away without an explanation. And now, you're stuck in the silence, staring at old messages, replaying every word, asking yourself what you did wrong. But here's the truth you haven't been told. You don't need to get her back. You need to get yourself back. Because this isn't about revenge, it's about rebirth. It's about becoming the man she'll regret losing, not out of spite, but because you finally became who you were always meant to be. There's a truth that most people never accept after a breakup, that the pain they feel isn't just about losing someone else. It's about confronting the version of themselves they were when that person walked away. If you want her to regret leaving, you don't beg, you don't chase, you evolve. And that starts with self-awareness. Most men skip this. They try to fix the surface and get in shape, change their haircut, post on social media, but they never fix the foundation. Real transformation begins when you stop blaming and start reflecting. You ask yourself, who was I really? Was I whole? Was I grounded? Was I building a life worth staying for? That honesty, it cuts deep, but it also sets you free. Because once you see the gaps, you can fill them. You no longer build for her, you build for you. Once you've faced yourself, it's time to take ownership, not of the breakup, but of your destiny. Heartbreak is heavy, but it's also fuel. You use the pain not to stay in victim mode, but to trigger growth. This is when most men wake up. When the silence after she's gone echoes so loudly they either break in or break through. You start doing things you used to avoid. You take control of your health, not for a six-pack, but to prove to yourself you're capable of discipline. You start waking up earlier. You learn to love your own company. You pursue money, not because it buys love, but because it restores your pride. You become obsessed not with her, but with becoming someone you respect in the mirror. That's when everything starts to shift. That's when your name starts showing up in conversations you're not even a part of. The third shift is emotional stability. No woman is attracted to chaos. The calmer you become, the more powerful you are. When you stop overreacting, stop checking her socials, stop obsessing over her dating someone else, you gain control. You don't flinch. You don't argue. You don't need closure. That emotional self-control is magnetic, and believe me, people feel it, especially the one who left. Because when she sees you at peace without her, she starts to question everything. You no longer need to prove anything. You've outgrown the version of you who begged for attention. You've become a man who commands respect in silence. Then comes purpose. A man with a mission cannot be broken. You find what sets you on fire, a business, a vision, a lifestyle. You pour your pain into progress. While she's trying to move on with someone else, you're building a world she'll never be able to enter again. Not because you're bitter, but because the new world requires a version of her that no longer exists. You're no longer trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. You've built so much value into yourself that now the only way someone enters your space is if they match your energy. That's when regret starts to settle in, not just for her, but for every person who ever doubted you. Then there's silence, the most powerful tool you'll ever use. In a world addicted to attention, your silence is power. You don't post cryptic stories. You don't call late at night. You don't explain your moves. You let your actions speak. You let your results be loud. The man who moves quietly is feared the most, because no one knows what he's up to until it's too late. That mystery drives curiosity. Curiosity breeds regret, and eventually, that regret becomes visible when she starts watching again. They always do. They check your page. They ask mutual friends. They remember the texts they ignored. And in that silence, she realizes she underestimated you. But here's the truth most won't tell you. Even when she regrets it, you might not care anymore. Because if you truly transform, you'll reach a point where the version of you that loved her no longer exists. That man died in the fire. The new you rose from it. That's the beauty of growth. It doesn't just attract what you thought you lost, it elevates you beyond what you used to want. Now, you want peace. You want alignment. You want someone who matches your healed energy. That's when the tables turn. Not because you manipulated the situation, but because you outgrew it. This is when you mastered detachment. You loved her. You still respect what you had, but you no longer carry the weight of what could have been. Because now you know, and if she couldn't walk with you in the fire, she doesn't deserve to sit with you in the palace. You detach with love, not anger. With dignity, not drama. You free yourself from needing validation. That emotional independence is rare, and rare is what she starts to crave again. But you're no longer reachable in the way you once were. You've moved forward, not in circles, not to get her back, but toward your own greatness. And finally, you learn forgiveness, not for her, for you. Because holding on to resentment is like drinking poison hoping it hurts someone else. You forgive her silently, not to rekindle anything, but to release the last chain tied to your past. You forgive the version of you who didn't know better. You forgive the mistakes, and in that forgiveness you walk lighter, you move freer, you attract better, and now the world sees you differently, because you are different, not hardened, just sharper, not colder, just clearer. And that's when you truly win, not when she regrets it, but when you no longer need her to. So she left. Maybe she said it wasn't working. Maybe she said it was her, not you. Or maybe she didn't even say much at all, just faded out like a ghost while you were left wondering if the last few months, or years, meant anything at all. And now there you are standing in the silence. Alone, confused, angry, torn apart between blaming her and blaming yourself. You're scrolling through old photos, replaying conversations, searching for signs you missed. Her laugh still echoes in the back of your mind when you're alone. Her smile flashes through your memory like lightning in a storm. It hurts, and no one can tell you otherwise. That kind of pain doesn't just fade because your friends say move on. It sticks, it digs deep, and it either buries you or it builds you. But listen to me. Listen closely. This moment, this exact heartbreak, it's not your end. It's your beginning. The version of you that you're about to become will be so unrecognizable, so powerful, so grounded, that even she won't believe it when she sees you again. And yes, she will see you again. Maybe not in person, maybe just through the glass of a screen, but she will watch, they always do. Because no matter how it ended, curiosity never fades when someone you left behind suddenly starts rising without warning. But that's not what this is about. This isn't about making her jealous. This isn't about revenge, or games, or trying to get her back. This is about getting yourself back and then some. It's about taking this wound, this gut-wrenching storm inside your chest, and turning it into something unshakable, something divine, something legendary. You see, heartbreak has a strange way of becoming the greatest fuel a man can ever receive, if he chooses to channel it. That's the crossroads you're standing at right now. You can use this to become bitter, or better. You can sink, or you can rise. And if you rise the right way, not with ego but with evolution, she'll regret walking away. Not because you made her pay, but because she'll realize she gave up on the man you were destined to become. And let me be honest with you. Becoming that man, it's going to hurt more before it heals. Growth doesn't come dressed in comfort. Growth shows up looking like pain, like long nights, like waking up early when you'd rather stay in bed, like resisting temptation, staying silent when you used to fight, putting your head down and grinding while the world scrolls past. But here's what's even more painful than that discipline: staying stuck in the version of yourself that she walked away from. Because the truth is, you knew you weren't fully yourself back then. You were distracted. You made excuses. You weren't locked in. You thought love would save you when you hadn't even saved yourself yet. You leaned too hard on her instead of standing tall on your own 2 feet. That's not love. That's dependency. And deep down, maybe she felt that too. Maybe that's why she pulled away. Not because she didn't care, but because you forgot how to stand alone. So what do you do now? You rise like a man who finally remembers who he is. You stop stalking her page. You stop rewriting what happened. You stop hoping for that what-if moment where she texts, "I miss you." Because the truth is, the day you no longer need that message, that's the day it shows up. That's the paradox. You get everything. You used to chase. When you stop chasing and start building, you build yourself. Slowly, brutally, consistently. You hit the gym, not to look good for her, but to reclaim your strength. Every drop of sweat becomes a word in the sentence that says, "I'm not that broken boy anymore." You upgrade your money game. No more excuses. No more someday. You build the business. You take the classes. You work the double shift. Why? Because financial power is a man's foundation. Not because it buys love, but because it buys options. Freedom, pride, respect. You cut off distractions. You let go of people who drain you, even if you used to party with them every weekend. That version of you, the one who needed noise to feel alive, he's gone. You replace chaos with purpose, drama with discipline, lust with legacy. You stay silent, not because you're weak, but because your silence is sacred now. You're not explaining yourself anymore. You're not posting for attention. You're posting progress. You're moving with precision. Let them wonder. Let her wonder. Because the man who moves in silence shocks the world in public. And as your silence deepens, your actions speak louder than your emotions ever did. You begin to understand that growth isn't loud, it's quiet, painful, and relentless. It doesn't ask for applause, it asks for sweat. It asks for sacrifice. The pain you feel right now, that's your teacher. That's your signal. That's the voice in the darkness telling you, you have a choice, to break apart, or to break through. So you wake up every day and make war with your weakness. You start journaling your thoughts, not to complain, but to gain clarity. You set goals, not to impress her, but to rebuild your identity. You stop waiting, you start doing. You commit to a higher standard, one that doesn't require anyone's permission. This is your comeback season, but it's not about proving something to her. It's about proving everything to yourself. You start finding joy in the grind. In the small wins. In seeing your body transform. In checking off tasks. In taking control. Because that's where the power lives now. Not in her hands, but in your habits. It's not one big moment. It's the 1,000 small ones stacked together. Each time you show up for yourself, her memory fades a little more. And your strength grows a little louder. And when you reach the point where your name is being mentioned in rooms she doesn't have access to anymore, rooms filled with people who respect your rise, she will notice. And she will feel it. Not because you rubbed it in her face, but because power always echoes. Stay focused, stay relentless, stay silent. And soon, the man you become will make her question everything she let go of. Now here's where it turns. You're building, you're rising. But if you want her to let her go, let the past stay in the past. You're not that same man anymore. She may never say she regrets it. She may never call. She may never admit she underestimated you. But she will see it. She will feel it, and deep down, she will know, because when a man transforms his pain into power, when a man stops chasing and starts building, when he upgrades his life without a single word, he doesn't need to say, "Look at me now." His life says it for him. So rise, rebuild, become. She'll regret leaving. But by then, you won't care, because you'll be too busy living the life that version of you, the one who was crying on the floor, never imagined possible. Thank you for watching. Subscribe my channel for more interesting and inspiring videos.